With us now, Democratic strategist, senior vice president and co-founder of Third Way, Matt Bennett, and CNN political commentator and Republican strategist Alice Stewart. Now, we should note the producer prices just came in lower than expected. Futures, which I just looked at, are up. The market seems to like this. This is one of the first bits of decent inflation news there's been in some time. Be that as it may, Matt, I get the sense that the White House 6 months ago was hoping they'd be able to run on inflation continues to go down. I'm not so sure they feel that way now, that inflation seems to have sort of stagnated here. How much of a problem is that, even though, as I said, the market's happier with what's happening right now?
Look, it's not great. We saw the numbers on Biden's handling of the economy. People are not happy about it. But I think it's important to emphasize a couple of things. First of all, people don't vote on macroeconomic data. If they did, Biden would be doing a lot better than he is now because the rest of the economy is absolutely booming. Unemployment is at historic lows. The stock market is doing great. Growth is incredibly high. And all of that means we have a white-hot economy, and that's driving inflation. So I don't think people are voting on that. What they're voting on is how they feel. And the question is, with wages outpacing inflation, will they feel a little bit better in the coming months? And I think they probably will. But the other thing that's important is elections are not referendum on the president. The election is going to be a choice between President Biden and Donald Trump. And the question is, will voters think that Trump's plans for the economy, which are completely vague and skewed towards the wealthy, help them or not?
Well, I think it's fair to say that Democrats hope it is a choice election, not a referendum election. That's one of those things we learn every 4 years. Is it about choice or is it about a referendum? Alice, I will say this, in all the campaigns you've worked on, if you had unemployment consistently below 4% at record lows, how frustrated would you be that you still can't get people behind you on the economy?
Extremely frustrated. But, John, the reality is this is not a messaging problem. This is a perception problem. And while some barometers of the economic picture are bright, overall, the spending, the wages, and how much things cost at the gas pump and the grocery store are hurtful to American people. And look, Scranton Joe, who's out there for hardworking Americans, is trying to tell them things are good when they don't feel that way. And the biggest people that are feeling the brunt of these latest economic reports are those people out there working hard every day, working paycheck to paycheck. And this hot report that came out yesterday is pouring cold water on the feds doing a rate cut, which many people were expecting, whether to buy a car or to purchase a home in the next few months. And if he's not sweating it out over this, I think it's a problem for him. And look, what we're seeing in poll after poll, these economic numbers, and we're seeing now a trend with poor economic numbers overall and the perception of them. Voters across this country feel as though the economy is poor. They don't trust Biden in terms of handling inflation or the economy. They think that their situation in life is worse off than it was when he took office. And the biggest crosstab for many voters is the fact they do trust Donald Trump more on the economy and inflation than they do Biden. And that's going to be a real liability for Biden when you see 54% of voters in many polls say they trust Trump to handle the economy better than Biden at 27%. And we all know that the pocketbook issues are major motivators for voters, specifically independent voters who are not aligned right or left, but the pocketbook issues will drive those independent voters.
Understood. I do want to make sure people understand that the numbers that just came out moments ago, the producer price index, showed a much smaller gain than economists had predicted. So again, the markets actually like the inflation news that's out just today. Different than yesterday, but just so people are current on what is just happening right now. Again, what you're reading on the screen there, yes, that's true, but it's lower than was anticipated. So this is actually considered a good news inflation day, relatively speaking. Matt, it's been a heck of a week on the issue of abortion. On Monday, Donald Trump came out and said he believes it's an issue that should be left up to the states. Tuesday, the Arizona Supreme Court issues a ruling that says, okay, right, we'll go back to 1864, a near total ban on abortion with nearly no exceptions. And then Wednesday in Arizona, the state legislature, despite efforts from Democrats and some Republicans in both chambers, Republicans there blocked votes to basically modernize the 1864 law and get rid of that law that's sort of back on the books for one day. Follow the bouncing ball here. It doesn't seem that Republicans in Arizona want to get to where some national Republicans would like to be.
That is for sure. And this is an issue that is unquestionably good for Democrats. And Arizona is a vitally important state. It is a presidential swing state now, at least it was in 2020, when Biden won it very narrowly. It's going to be hotly contested. There's a hugely important Senate race going on there where the Republican, Kari Lake, has been all over the place on this issue. She endorsed the 1860-something bill and then said she wasn't for it. And so I think what you're going to see is Democrats using the Arizona law nationally because it is a very good marker for people. Trump says he wants the states to decide. Well, this is how the states are going to decide if he's president. And that is vitally important, not only to women, but also to a lot of men who think that this is just a terrible way of handling what was, for 50 plus years, a constitutional right.
Matt Bennett, Alice Stewart, great to see both of you. Thank you both so much.